Hey there, welcome back to ShipCrafter. This is episode 6, and this time I'm going to build a warship actually according to the buoyancy rules that the game has. There was quite a bit of uncertainty about what actually constitutes buoyancy in this game. Like, is it enclosed spaces? Is it ballast tanks? Do spaces in your ship need to be empty? No. Straight from the horse's mouth, straight from the developer, I have an answer, and it is simply one thing that the more blocks, or basically the more blocks that a ship has, the better. As long as they have a positive buoyancy, which you can see over there, the density, top right hand side, 0.48 grams per cubic centimeters. That's what I currently have. If that is above 1, you will sink. That's 1. 2, stacking your armor does not work. So let's say I have a layer over here of 50mm armor and then potentially a second layer of 150mm armor. It does not work. It simply will not work. So that is something very important to know. Another one is that bigger calibers are better. In this game, an 80mm shell, and this comes straight from the guide, has 8 times more damage than a 40mm shell because it has 2 times 2 times 2 its volume. So, bigger guns are better guns. Now, with that in mind, I think it's time for a new ship. Because this means that we're simply going to need something a little wider. I'm going to go into mirror mode, we're going to go into zoop mode, and let's say the ship is going to be about, what, 15 blocks wide? And then, I have a budget about 11k to work with. This is, how long? 60? 67? I'm gonna try and aim for 100. So let's add a bit on this side. 80 meters. 87. 97. 100. Okay, so that's gonna be the basic hull. Now, on top of this, I'm just going to keep stacking more and more and more blocks. This is probably going to add pretty quickly to my building budget. So I might need to cut the ship down to size a little later, but we'll get around to that. There we go. I'm now at 7,500 out of 11. Given the fact that I'm already through most of my budget, I'm going to take a bit off. Because I don't actually believe this is quite going to work. So let's go into mirror mode and take... I think take the outer layer off. If the game will actually allow me to do that. The moment that you drag your cursor outside of the area you're trying to delete, it goes, no, 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 we can't do that, like that. Boom. Alright, I'm also going to take some part off the bow. Because I think 100 meters is, unfortunately, right now, not very feasible. I just don't have enough budget for that. Come on. Oh, it's trying to delete like that. Right. So if you want to delete like that, you have to look at it different. Oh, it's going to delete from the middle. Never mind. That's not what I want to do. Nope. Nope. I'm deleting from the wrong side. I want to delete like this. Good lord. Still got a lot to study with this game, huh? This is looking a little better. This ship is going to be having a bow, and it's not going to be a terribly pretty bow, because I have found that these blocks do work well, it's just that they don't look that nice. So unfortunately, that might just be a whole lot of extra work. What I first want to make sure of is this thing will float. Now, as it says in the tutorial, these blocks, these cosmetics, they don't actually have a collider. So they really don't care if they're getting hit. They won't stop anything. That's one. But they'll also not actually protect you from anything either. So please keep that in mind as you're building out these blocks. I need to have these... Is that a Z function? Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, how long can we make that? Gotta figure out where to place them. I think the length of 13 is good enough. Just gonna have them offset. Not quite like that. It's a bit much. It's a bit much. Yeah, that's not quite it, huh? Remove those. See, it tries to put them in a weird spot, and I don't really understand what the editor is trying to do, nor why it does it. I just don't find it to be a very good editor. I don't find it intuitive at all. Could be just me. Could be that the editor is just not, well, not doing what I'm expecting it to do, really. Yeah, that's not quite what I had in mind. X to 6, because I think I have... Yeah, I have a height of 6. See, it just doesn't quite allow me to align it as much as I'd like. Alright, that will have to do. I will do that here too. And yes, it's clipping through each other. Well, okay, tough, so be it. Alright, so now we have something that resembles a hull. That still has a density of only 0.2 grams per centimeter. Excellent. Now I'm going to add external armor to the outside layer. I don't really care about everything else. So I'm just going to go blocks replacer. I'm going to go to 150mm hull. And I want to replace the entire outer layer. I don't know how much that's going to impact my buoyancy. Not terrible. We're still at 0.34. I do have a couple of blocks here that aren't supposed to be doing that. And over here too. So arguably this thing is fairly well protected. And the AI seems to go for for midships hits anyway. So this ought to be sufficient. Oh, come on. I didn't tell you to delete the whole thing. Block replacer tool. Yes, there we go. I could also add up some armor here, but I'd rather have a bit more buoyancy, seeing as that has seemingly been a fairly hefty problem of mine in the past. I just don't have enough buoyancy, and when I don't have enough buoyancy, I die fairly quickly. So let's not do that. Now, down here, I'm going to carve out some space for the prop. So let's get some space away here and make sure that we have room here for a prop. Another problem that I have had so far is that I tend to build ships which are a little overpowered. Overpowered not so much in the gun sense, because, I mean, they still lose plenty of battles, but much more so in the sense that, well, they tend to flip over, which is not typical behavior. At least not the typical kind of behavior. I really hate this editor. I really, really don't like it. Okay, let's add some ability. It doesn't have to be terribly fast, so I guess a couple of medium props here. Let's add some medium prop shafts, and then the medium propellers can sit like that. I don't really care that they're clipping into something, so be it. And we're going to have a medium rudder. Something not terribly wide, something that doesn't turn us around all the time. And this should do it. Medium rudder sits there. Okay. Buoyancy, still 0.34 grams per centimeter. Now, let's add an engine. I have two props capable of doing 30,000 horsepower each. So anything that does 60,000 is fine. This is 95, but it's a bit fragile, I think. Because if you lose one, you're pretty much done for. These things have 20,000 horsepower. I'm going to go with the Z20. And put two of those on. This is 80,000 horsepower. So, arguably a bit much. I also have access to the U-boat engines. The U-boats generate only 4,000 horsepower each. Maybe this isn't too bad, because if one of these engines goes out, I still have the other one. Now, with that note that firepower is basically a bigger is better rule. I'm going to go with the bigger turrets. And try and keep those as much alive as possible. Which will not be easy, to be sure. Now, let's have a look at the center of gravity. If I'm going to add something to the bow, I'm also going to add to the stern. And the center of gravity jumps right back. But it has already jumped back a bit more because I got both of those funnels on the back. So now let's have another Z20 engine going over here. A bit farther forward, perhaps. Let's add a bit of hull. It's going to go into zoop mode. I'm going to make this a dual turret platform like this. That's probably not tall enough. We'll need a bit more. Now, as for armoring this thing, I don't really think you have to. As for my buoyancy, what's that doing? Oh, it's going nowhere at the moment. Weapons. Yes, that is super firing. I have seen somebody doing night battles, so I think a spotlight would be in order. Because if you're doing a night battle and you don't have a spotlight, well, good luck with that. I don't know how hydrodynamics works in this game yet, so I don't know if this big bulky nose of mine is going to be a problem. I'm going to hope it is not. Over to the side, we're going to go with some maybe 100mm or 88s to support. I'm going to put those over to the AI, because I have seen plenty of comments saying, hey, you really don't want to have the AI target all your guns, because they're simply not very good at it. They don't really aim as accurately as a player would. So it is generally better to aim your guns yourself. Alright, so that's what I'll do. Maybe another stern turret. There. Another 150mm pointing backwards. Now, buoyancy is about 0.5 grams per centimeter squared. Cubic centimeters, so that should be fine. Maybe I can add some armor around the funnels. If I add some 100mm armor, that's probably not going to impact my ability to float that much. At least I'm hoping that it doesn't. And it might just keep these funnels alive for a little longer and thus keep me, well, in the battle for a little longer. Oh, actually, they're a bit too far. Yeah, that's just 0.51. Alright, so let's box those funnels up. Because I do really like my mobility. Over here, they can be one line taller. I can go here. And just kind of squeeze that thing in as close as I can, because that means fewer blocks used, and thus less buoyancy wasted. Yes, yes. Turn zoop off. Buoyancy, 0.52. So I think that'll be sufficient. Oh, this one's slightly less tall. It is possible that they still hit this thing. Not as likely, though. Regarding deck armor, I'm not sure if that's going to be required. Because most of the time they just hit shells, or they have shells which are very fast. And thus they don't actually get to hit anything like the deck. They always hit the bow. Oh, sorry, they hit amidships. Let's go with 50mm armored bow. Buoyancy 0.53 still. I think I accidentally painted this thing a bit, or is that just mirror mode? No, we'll be fine. Alright, stern as well. Mirror mode on, armor mode. We're going to paint this as 50mm of armor, which could also protect the props a bit. Buoyancy 0.54. As for secondaries, I got those 88s. I can still add a few more 88s, hopefully without wasting all sorts of buoyancy issues. And especially against lighter craft, I suppose I could make this work. I can probably keep the ship afloat well enough. Alright, give those over to the AI. I will take control of the big guns. I only have 4 turrets, so that'll be that. Save. I got a lot more to play with, but I first want to see how well this thing actually floats. Now, where are we going? We're going to Felix Stowe, and the job is still to take down a 1936 and a Type 23. Alright, we got mobility. A decent amount of buoyancy, I think. And we're here to defend the flag. Who would like to try first? Turret rotation speed's not great. At least that stern turret is a 360. So that can spin any way I see fit, which is nice. One is going to spawn sooner rather than later. There. Converge the guns. So this supposedly does a ton of damage, because those 88s are adding to the damage. And more importantly, perhaps, my main guns are adding tons of damage. There you go. He's completely gone. He might have landed a hit amidships, but I think I'm mostly impervious to that with that armor of mine. Yeah, you're gone. Alright. The next contender has arrived. Let's see if we can pen that bow. My biggest concern here is that my turrets go down. And I don't think there's still a really good way to, well, to play around that. Full reverse. See, I don't even tip backwards or forwards as much as I used to. Maybe normal naval designers were onto something, as opposed to all the weird stuff I come up with. Turn a bit. Gotta get rid of this guy before we can handle his friend. Yeah, he's going down. Alright, next. We have lost a turret, but I'm not sure which one. Time to survive is still a minute 40. It appears that all my main turrets are online. Oh crap, they already spawned another one in. 90 seconds and change. Aim a little lower. He's already going down by the bow. He's going down by the bow more. And more. Come on, get rid of the turrets. Yes, that's the stuff. He's gonna have secondary turrets. Look at that, my shells are ricocheting off just easily. He's gonna have secondary turrets, but they're not as impressive. I'm gonna get rid of those mains. I could always go fortress mode and just beach the craft intentionally. Alright, let's switch fire to something that actually still has firepower. Such as this guy over here. Yep, turret knocked out. Gotta survive another 40 seconds. I appear to have my bow turret fully submerged, and my props are fully on the ground, so I'm not going anywhere. How about that? And you're sinking. Yes, yes, and what are you thinking about? Let's see if we can get rid of some turrets here. Oh crap, if he launches torpedoes, I'm gonna have serious issues. Because I'm definitely not going anywhere, but on the other hand, I guess I can't sink. So, oh crap, here they come. We survived! Haha! Those torpedoes were apparently leading something, but they missed. Damage dealt. 322 penetrating hits. They only got 57 on me. So I'm calling that a win. We unlocked the 127. The dual barrel. Actually, I already have that. The large rudder. And the 37mm double gun turret. Okay. I also have a lot more supplies. So let's go and make the craft bigger. Because I think I can get away with that. So, I'm going to add a whole bunch more blocks. And see if I can make this thing potentially longer, maybe a little wider. And thus add some more turrets. There we go. New hull, new nose, new bow, new everything. Buoyancy, 0.3 grams per centimeter cubic. So, let's go for the block replacer. I'm going to add a massive belt. Which might severely impact my buoyancy, but it's only 0.39 so far. There. Let's add armor here. Yes. Alright, out to the bow. I want to go 50mm. It is sadly not armored. Sorry, not angled that well, but it could just be enough to keep this thing in the fight a little longer. Density, 0.41. Very good. Alright, I still have about 1,500, and I still need to add some guns. So let's add another one of those 150s. That's gonna... Actually, I could go dual turret, I suppose. But maybe I can have one on the bow. And then, like a double layer turret, if you will. Not quite side mounts, but something akin to it. No, let's not. I want to have more secondaries on those positions. So, add 2 layers. Then add another 150. I could go triple. I've got enough room for it. I've got enough blocks for it. Why not? Zoop on. Buoyancy, 0.44. So that's really good. I'm not done adding stuff yet. There. Okay. Now, out to the sides, I'm thinking I might get away with removing all the 188s and instead adding some dual barrel 127s. What's the difference in pen? Because there has to be something. Difference in pen. Over here we got 179 and over here we got 136. So this, if I'm understanding it correctly, can pen a 150mm armor belt. The other ones cannot. And also, because it's a much bigger shell, it is going to do more damage. They will weigh a little more, I suppose. I'm gonna let those get turned over to AI. There. Buoyancy 0.52, or rather density 0.52. I could add some more smaller stuff here. Because if they have poorly armored turrets aboard any of the ships that I might encounter, perhaps I'll be able to get some additional damage in on those turrets with smaller caliber fast-firing guns. Oh, I'm at limit. Okay, never mind then. Yeah, we'll just keep it as is. Secondaries is going to be all those 5-inchers. And I will take control of the primaries. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main turrets. I haven't added or taken away anything from propulsion, so it's alright. But it's not spectacular. I can move, surely, but I might find that I'm not very fast. Ooh, we're now dealing with an Emden. Let's fight the Emden. Turn over to port. Speed is about 25 knots. Turrets are moving into position. Aim for more or less waterline. Already got some deflections there. That's the big turrets. Yeah, we're getting some damage in. 7 pens so far. They got a lot of turrets, but not very big ones. So I'm not terribly scared of this thing. Especially as I have quite a lot of superfluous buoyancy. I think she's already starting to roll. And that's possibly without even really using the stern turrets. Yeah, she's listing over to starboard. More and more and more. There are potentially torpedoes in the water, so I gotta be a bit careful about those. Well, that was the end of the torpedo launcher anyway. Still got turrets towards the back that are still talking to me. Let's engage those. Wow. Despite all the damage and all the list, they're still able to shoot. My buoyancy, however, is turning into a bit of a problem, as I seem to be lacking some. And somehow they're riding the ship. Definitely taking on water. Oh, come on. That's a turret knocked out. Come on. I don't know how many turrets are actually still functional, but I suppose it's not many. Just the primaries on the stern. Oh, come on. Bit lower. It's not actually hitting anything, we're just shooting over the target. There, that's a good hit. Hit. Turning dark very quickly. Are they going under? Too low. Come on. Bit more. That's a hit. Aim slightly lower. Oh crap, I'm sinking! No! Alright, I think I can take him. Turn over to the port side. Engage secondaries. We're gonna go full broadside, because I think that's where most of my armor is gonna hold up. Let's see if we can quickly eliminate some of those turrets. Because that's where my damage was coming from last time around. We got 32 damaging hits on them. They're turning over. Torpedo launcher disabled. Good. More where that came from, please. Yeah, she's going. Own ship? Mostly fine. But as she has shown last time around, she is fairly tenacious and can definitely take a beating. So, it isn't over till she actually goes fully submerged. Ah, engine knocked out, turret knocked out. Switch her fire slightly towards the back. I think she's fully going now. That's another turret gone. Engine knocked out. Own ship? Oh, we lost a bit of buoyancy. But we seem to be fine. As opposed to the Emden. Emden is not fine. So, this new design actually works fairly well. How much did we take? We took 25 pending hits. 134 were blocked. We managed to get 149 through on their ship. Oh, nice. Triple torpedo launcher. So, I'd say the new ship actually works quite well. And I'm quite happy with that. Next time around, I want to try and build a submarine. Which is going to be a whole different ball game. But I hope you will join me for that. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon for more ship crafting.